At some point, we collect a lot of pens. Some we buy, some were gifted, some we swore would change our planning life. And then one day you spin your pen container and realize you don't use half of them. So over the next few weeks, I'm weighting it down. I'm going to test them, use them in real spreads, and give you my honest thoughts of what's worth keeping and what isn't. I'll primarily be testing everything in my Hobonichi Weeks. If you're not familiar with Hobonichi Weeks or the Hobonichi brand, they use Tomoe River paper. It's very thin, lightweight paper that shows ghosting very easily. It is fountain pen friendly, but because it's so thin, it can be very unforgiving and bleed through when you use heavy inks or overly waxy products. So it's a really good test on how something performs on delicate planner paper. So today's test, we're going to try out the Faber-Castell Essential Planner Pack. Now, Faber-Castell is a really long-standing German brand. They've been around since the 1700s and are really well known for their artist quality pencils and pens. I have not personally tried them before, but you can typically find their products at different craft stores, potentially Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You can find them on Amazon. And this set is usually priced around the mid-teens. I found it on Amazon for about $16. Now, I got my pack at Ross originally for $3.99. So typically when I see deals like that, I'll grab it so that I can test a new product without spending the full price. All right, so let's get into my thoughts, starting with the colored pencils. Now, these colored pencils are much thicker than normal ones, and they're almost a triangle shape. You'll see on the grip that it has raised bumps, which actually feel nice in the hand, and the barrel is more of that rectangle shape that I mentioned, which makes it somewhat comfortable to hold and keeps it from rolling around. So the grip is fairly comfortable, but performance-wise, they felt thick. Almost like I was coloring with chunky colored pencils rather than something designed for detailed planner work, and it made it a little harder to control. The tips were also very wide, too wide to comfortably fit within the stencil cutouts that they included in the pack. That made it very hard to get clean shapes, and it made it also difficult to create fine lines in the smaller planner boxes. The other issue that I had with the colored pencils is that the tips dulled really quickly. And after a bit of use, the tip developed that smooth, glossy surface, which is called burnishing. And that's with wax-based colored pencils. The burnishing happens when the wax binder builds up and creates a slick coating on the tip. And once that happens, it doesn't grip the paper fibers very well. So the color stops laying down evenly and can feel like you're barely writing. Now, let's talk about the stencil that I used. The stencil itself is made out of cardboard, so it is pretty flimsy. It worked fine on this initial use, but on the thinner areas, I could tell that the paper already wanted to start to give. So it wouldn't last long. So it wouldn't be something that you could use week after week all year and it would hold up. Now let's talk about the pen that was included. So this is a black Pitt Artist Pen, and this one surprised me a bit more than the rest of the items. I didn't have high hopes after using the colored pencils. Now the pen is waterproof and permanent. The tip is thin, which worked well on the smaller Hobonichi Weeks boxes. And it wrote smoothly. It didn't smear, and I tried it a few times right after using it, and it didn't pool in any areas or have thicker areas. The ink flow was very consistent. The other pleasant surprise was the minimal ghosting with the thin Hobonichi paper. As you see here, you can see it slightly, so there is minimal ghosting. But for a felt tip pen, it was very little. And so for that, I was really impressed. Because sometimes with your felt tip pens or felt tip markers, it can bleed through or ghost heavily. And I didn't have that issue with this one at all. So all in all, if you're thinking of trying this pack or if you come across it in the store, would I say that it's worth the full price at maybe $15, $16? My honest feedback would be no. It's not worth the pack and that price. I wouldn't use the colored pencils again. The stencil was fine, but it's not going to hold up very long. But the pen, I will use probably more often. And so for that, I would say check out and see if you can get that Faber-Castell pen individually, not in a pack. Now, if you want to try the pack, keep an eye out for sales. As I mentioned, I found this at Ross for $3.99. And for that price, I would definitely say get it, try it. There could be better ways or different papers that it works well on. And it's always fun to try something new when you get it at a very low price like that compared to its original price. Now, if you're anything like me and love testing new products and have any interest in trying out the stencil and the colored pencils, go over and join my Patreon. It's linked in my bio, and I do periodic giveaways of the items that I test so that other planner lovers or stationery lovers have the opportunity to test a new product as well without having to pay full price for them. And I also love that because I can share the love, you can test it out whether you like it or not, and it's not going to waste. So definitely check out my Patreon. There is a free membership, and there are ways to enter for giveaways for some of these products that I'll be testing out and may not be keeping.